Welcome to the Gratitude and Attitude Podcast, an organic and sometimes hilarious ongoing conversation between two soul sisters who have a lot of gratitude and sometimes a little bit of attitude. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gratitude and Attitude. I'm Pri, and this is Nan.
Hello.
And today we have our superlative, amazing tech guy with us, our little special guest, Carlos, in the house. Today we're going to be talking about perfectionism. And the topic sentence is, perfectionism is the only race where the finish line keeps moving. So I want to sort of open up with us kind of defining what perfectionism is to you, Nani.
Well, perfectionism, I'm going to go back to my notes, is a mindset of a personality trait where a person feels they must meet unrealistically high standards, often tying their self-worth to performance. It's less about striving for excellence and more about failure. But I think that it is a part of striving for excellence. I mean, this says it, that it's less about it, but I feel like it is a part of striving for excellence because, that's one of my things about perfection. I think I can be in that category of trying to reach perfection where I know it's not reality. But I do know that, and I wrote this note down because it's something that I've been working on myself, is striving for perfection is destructive and disruptive, right? I mean, because it could be very destructive and it's very disruptive in your life if you keep trying. But I think there may be like levels of perfectionism, like trying to be, I think, but there's nothing wrong with trying to strive for excellence. That's why I said in this, where it says that, I think, and you even discussed that before we started a podcast, that it's okay to strive for excellence, but it doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect. All right?
Yeah, if you think about it, excellence is a finish line. When you do something and you do it with excellence, you're done. Perfectionism, there is no finish line.
Right.
It just keeps just outside of your reach. It's just a little bit past.
Right.
Even if you're excellent, you're like, but it wasn't perfect.
Right.
And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I think it does start. I mean, I think even what you read was it's still about excellence.
Right. But it's
in a way,
less.
that's the trap. I want to be excellent. And then you're like, but I could be more excellent. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because I think after
perfectionism is to
excellent becomes perfect.
Yes.
Like that would be the next step.
Yes.
Because how excellent is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what comes after that?
Right.
Perfection. Perfect.
Right.
But nothing's perfect.
Correct.
The only thing that's perfect is God.
Jesus was the only perfect person. Okay, Carlos, what are your thoughts about, what do you think perfectionism is?
More or less something very similar what Nancy said. It's when you try to do something for yourself, you want it to be perfect. And you will do as much as you can to accomplish that. But there has to be a limit, a line, where you say, okay, this is good enough. And I have to keep moving.
Yeah.
That's good. Perfectionism is there is no line. There is no finish line. There is no boundary. Okay, it's great, but it could still be perfect. What does it take? And there are different ways that, I mean, in my notes, when I said, what is perfect? So this is interesting. I found this, it's general information, so there's no attribution. What it is people say it's a character trait. I don't agree, actually, with that definition. I think
it says a personality trait, not a character.
Personality trait. But the truth, what I think the truth is it's a set of habits and a brain thought pattern that is shaped by fear. And that can be reshaped. You're not doomed to suffer from perfectionism forever because in the research that I did with the brains, our brain is, I always talk about brain science and neuroplasticity. Our brain can continue to change. the way our brain focuses on something can change. And it's based on your thought patterns. I think perfectionism is a thought pattern. I think that it's saying, my home is perfect. But if I change this, it would be truly perfect, right? It's really beautiful, but there's one thing that I think holds it back from being perfect. And I think that that's a brain pattern. I don't know. Character traits are like, I'm an introvert. I probably will always be an introvert. I can adjust to it. But perfectionism, it's a learned sort of habit. It's a pattern. And it comes from several different things in my research. Because I was like, where did I get my perfectionism from? Why am I like that? You know, like why? Because I will be very honest. I am a perfectionist, and I'm working very hard on it.
Well, they said it could stem from your childhood too. It
Yep.
could that's something that it can be a lot deeper.
Yes.
You know.
So we should actually then move on to so I'm probably like, I look at it a little differently from that definition, because I don't think you're doomed to be a perfectionist forever. I think you can change your thought pattern so that when you strive for excellence and you achieve excellence, it's enough.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you can do. Now, also, I do have a tiny touch of OCD.
I was just going to say that. I was just
I
going to
won't
say.
lie.
I was just going
It's
to say
a little
that.
tiny bit, and I'll tell you, that OCD, and then having a streak of perfectionism, they kind of like they like go down a sidewalk holding hands, skipping together and singing. OCD and perfectionism, and they're actually all anxiety disorders. Like OCD is an anxiety disorder, and so what's the anxiety that I feel? And asserting control is the way I cope with that anxiety, right? So let's talk about where it's from. What did you find in your work as you went through? And
it just says perfectionism can be influenced by authority figures like parents and teachers, and, but I didn't get really deep, into that. So
Where it can come from, yeah.
I know, it's
yeah, have
crazy.
you thought about where it came
Yeah,
from?
absolutely.
Okay, what did you find?
With myself, I'm kind of perfectionist. I have that a little bit, but for myself, I believe that began. I always been like that forever. I always tell myself, if I will do something, I have to do it right.
Yeah.
If you don't do it right, then don't do it at all. Just leave it the way it is. Because whatever you do, whatever you put your hands in, your mind into it, and you do it, that will tell a lot about you. And then I repeat always the same, and my coworkers say, hey, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, setting the limit. When it's gonna be right, enough.
Right.
But I believe I've been like that forever, since I can remember.
Well, like we were talking before about doing Priya's, her shade. And I think, like she said, you did a fabulous job, fantastic job, but something was slightly off, let's just say. It was slightly off. So her OCD kicks in on that. And I looked at it, I go, it looks straight. It's not bad, right? Yeah.
So when you fixed it,
Yeah.
you fixed it. It's right.
Yeah.
Except that I can see, so also being in the construction business for as long as I was, I can see like literally 3/8 of an inch. I can see that. I mean,
I know, but it's all right.
legitimately I can.
I can't see it.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's an issue. It's an OCD issue.
Yeah.
It's not.
But
It's not
but
a
if you
problem.
ask me, why do I prefer? I prefer to get closer to perfectionism than
Yeah.
the opposite side.
But do you
Because
take it home?
because I work with some people sometimes that they don't care. They just try to do, and being in different companies, nobody cares, and that make me upset.
Right.
So if you ask me, I rather prefer to be towards the perfectionism a little bit, with the OCD and other stuff that you however you want to call it. I'd rather prefer that side because that goes towards the way I am.
Right.
So, but I guess there has to be, like I said, a line because I'm just using it as an example. Like we talked about before, you can go home and you could just constantly think about, this not being level, let's just say, right? And then you're just like, you can lose sleep over it. You could be upset about it. All these things, and you did the best job that you could do. You're like, I did everything. It's fantastic, but it's not perfect. Does it disrupt your life in a sense of, become obsessive?
No, that was happening to me years ago.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, it's like I was thinking on it every time.
Yes.
I couldn't sleep. And then somebody told me, you have to stop.
Yes.
You have to.
Right. I think that's when it starts really becoming a problem, when you start obsessing over something that's not perfect.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Yes. Agreed. And I think that perfectionism is an issue. And one of the reasons we're talking about it today is that, first of all, identifying, hey, you know what? That's a perfectionist streak in me. You have to start by acknowledging what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can address. I like to know where something came from. One of the things I read was perfectionism is not healthy striving, which we'll talk about towards the end of this podcast. But perfectionism is driven by a fear of failure, rejection, or an internal deep need to feel like you're enough. So I'll tell you, in my lifetime, in the work that I did, first of all, I did want it to be perfect, and it was a torment sometimes, because no matter how hard you try, you're confounded by the boundaries of physics and physical reality.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is an interesting thing. There is literally, I don't know how many constructed buildings in history there are, but I know that there's one for a fact that was perfect. It was perfectly level, which is this way, perfectly plumb, which is this way, and every angle was a perfect angle, whether it was 90 degrees, if it was designed on paper 28 degrees, whatever it was. Every single ounce and inch of this particular building is perfect. And it's the Taj Mahal.
Oh, wow.
Which was built, I think, in the 1600s, 1700s. Carlos, can you look up when the Taj Mahal was built? Tajmahal. The Taj Mahal.
She's basically saying you don't know how to spell it.
No. Who knows how to spell Indian words other than me in this room?
I don't know how to spell it.
Exactly.
I will let her tell me the spelling, because my spelling is not good at all. So
Thank you, Carlos.
I let Google do the job for me.
Yeah,
Did you find it?
Yeah, it
When
was
it
built between 1631 and
1631.
1631 and 1648.
Oh.
So it's actually a tomb that an ancient Indian ruler built for his wife.
Is that crazy back then? It's
And
built
they
to
did
perfection?
it by hand, and it's
crazy.
considered one of the wonders of the world. The reason I
Yeah.
know this is because I used to be a tour guide at the Taj Mahal.
Oh.
Yeah. So you wouldn't know. I was.
I learned something
In
new
my
about
early
that.
20s. I was when I was in India.
So interesting.
I did. So that's something people don't know, that from a construction perspective. So right now, if you go in my house, this is what I did for years, you can put a level on any of these walls and it's not going to be perfectly plumb. And that's what people don't realize, that nothing that you build is basically perfect. But in the Taj Mahal, it was.
Well, now I'm going to be saying, well, I want this to be built like the Taj Mahal. And people be like, what does that mean?
That was perfectionism.
It was perfect.
And it was an emperor of India.
Yeah, that is so interesting.
There's some really interesting stories I'll tell you another time about it, but it's made out of white marble. What people don't know is they thought it was originally a perfectly white building. It wasn't. When it was built originally, it was encrusted on the outside with semi-precious and precious jewels, like rubies and pearls and sapphires and all these semi-precious stones. And they were done in murals and they were inset. And then when the British came through India and conquered it, it was plundered.
Yeah,
and
I
they
was saying
picked
people
everything out of the walls.
Try to steal it. I would think like people would try to do that.
Well, back in the day when it was built, they didn't, because that was the emperor, and he was a very brutal emperor. You'd die if you picked a pearl out of that wall. But then, of course, India was overrun and it was conquered. And that's just history. People are always conquering other people. And they picked it out. But it's still so stunningly beautiful. It looks like carved walls. You don't know that there was a purpose for that carving.
So where the jewels were, it's all just carved. And
It's the entire exterior of it. And some places in the interior. Taj Mahal, who was his wife, is in the Taj Mahal. You think it's a house? It's not. You walk in and it's a series of passageways that lead to the center of it where her tomb was laid out. And it's a perfectly white marble, huge sort of like casket, but big. And it was covered with stuff too. It's really quite a legendary love. But back to perfectionism. The Taj Mahal is perfect. I don't know of another building that's that perfect. And so what does that say? People would die on that job site if they didn't build it, if they didn't carve that marble to perfection. That was like death was a part of that job site because it had to be perfect. And that's the kind of torment that perfectionism can lead to. He wanted a perfect tomb for his perfect wife, you know. And his perfect wife died anyway. You know, it's just where she was buried. That makes it kind of an amazing story for the ages. So we were talking about perfectionism and how poisonous it can be, but also kind of where it comes from. And it's about a fear of failure, fear of not being enough. You know, I think I didn't know that I was a perfectionist until I started working with a therapist. And I started, when I would make a mistake at work, I would say to her, I should have known better. I should have known. I should have seen this coming. And finally, one day after several months, she said to me, you say that and you get really upset when you make a mistake. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, why? And that led me on this path to learn about perfectionism. Why did I have it? What was I trying to achieve? And I think that that's the goal of this conversation, so that if you're watching, that if you're feeling it, if you're feeling the condemnation of not being perfect, you can start kind of digging in and doing your own work. What about you, Nan? In your life, how has perfectionism impacted you? Because that's how we started talking.
I know.
About.
I try to be perfect. I try.
Let's talk about it a little bit.
That's just, to me, I feel like it's part of my personality, but I know we feel different about that, but I do feel like, yes, it is, but I can change that.
Yes.
I still can change that. But like I said, I strive to have the perfect house. Like my love, like you said, like everything, you know, if something's not right, I'm like, oh, I got to change that. I want it to be, you know, I think there's a point of contentment that's in there somewhere. When will I be content with something? You know, why does it have to be better? You know, I start figuring out, trying to think why I feel this way. Why isn't that enough? It looks beautiful. Why does it have to be better? Why do you need to change it? Like, I'll ask myself all these questions.
I love that you said the word contentedness.
Yeah.
Because if you're a perfectionist, you will never experience contentedness.
Right. So I question myself. It could be, you know, even if I have a conversation with you and I say, oh gosh, I should have said this instead of that, because then it would have been better, you know? And if I didn't say that, if I said it this way, it'd be better. It'd be more, you know, and then I think, is that part of me trying to have that perfect conversation or give you the perfect advice?
Is it?
Maybe sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have said that. I should have said it this way. This sounds way better.
Yes.
So I find in a lot of areas in my life, I do that. It could be me like wearing something out to an event and be like, gosh, I shouldn't have wore that. I should have worn that other dress.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I do that.
I've known you for 30 years and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I get that way sometimes, but I'm very, very, very aware of what I'm doing. Like,
but
and I tell
why?
myself, I don't know. It's just something that I struggled with. I mean, I know I can never be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Like I said, Jesus is the only one that's perfect. Yeah. But I do strive to
be perfect.
And be like the perfect friend too, like, you know, but
You fail.
You are
you
the
fa-
perfect friend.
You fail on that a little bit.
Don't listen to Carlos. Don't believe anything
I suck
he says.
sometimes.
He's a tech guy. Just rule him out.
But I think that, and I don't even know, I don't even like the word perfect or perfection. I don't like it, you know, but yeah, that's how I feel. I like to use, like I said, the word content. Like, I don't know, you know, but I don't think I'm crazy. Like I'm so overly like, oh, it's got to be this way. It's got to be this way. But I do feel I'm like that sometimes. I find myself going down that road of, I could have done better. It could have looked better. I could have worn, you know, that other dress. I know it's like silly
I
things.
swear, I didn't know that.
It's not that I don't feel confident.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
What is it? Let's talk about that.
it's just, I feel like I could have done better. It's weird. It's like, it's not like I'm not a confident person because I'm very confident.
Yeah.
But I feel sometimes that it could be even better. So that's part of it.
See that as a virtue, not as a defect.
You see it as a virtue.
Oh,
is that-
Carlos, come give me a hug.
No, don't give her a hug because it's not a virtue.
Because that
Just
happens.
saying.
That say that you care a lot about how you treat other people.
Yes.
About what you do, and
Yeah.
that's good.
I like that.
That's a good start, but it's not a good finish.
No, it's not because it's something that I struggle with. And I
So-
do talk. So where I got
Right.
this perfection is destructive and disruptive is from my therapist. Because we
Yes.
talk about that. Because I'm like, why do I always, you know, strive to always be better at something? Like, why can't it be enough? Like, that's it. You did a good job. Good enough.
I am a good friend. I am
Yeah.
enough. I looked beautiful, and that was exactly the right dress to wear.
well, you've never done that. You've never wore something. And
No.
you're like, really?
As God is my witness, I have
Goodness.
never. But I really didn't care that much about it. I hate going to public
Yeah.
events, so I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna wear this, and I'll be fine. Who cares?
But that's so small.
You know what my father
That's
once
small.
said
That's
to me?
small. That's not
He said, "Nobody remembers what you're wearing.
Yeah.
They remember what they wore."
very true. I don't know. I remember what some people wear. I'm sorry. I
you
do.
just proved him wrong.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, Papa. But I'm like, do you remember that dress? What's her name wore? It's beautiful. Like, I think, and yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a fine
think-
line. Like you said, it's a race that you'll always be running.
Yeah.
Because there's not a finish line for that.
Yes.
So I think you have to, you know, mentally be aware that you're doing this, that you're it's kind of like obsessing a little bit too, I
Yeah,
think.
well, it goes hand in
You
hand.
know?
It skips down the road hand in
Yeah.
hand with OCD.
Yeah.
Carlos, this is such an interesting angle, though, because you really don't see anything wrong with perfectionism. It sounds like.
Yeah, no, I highly believe.
Do you feel conflicted about it? Are you
No, I
not
highly
quite
believe
sure?
in a balance. Everything for me has to be a balance.
Okay.
So when she texts, she send a text to someone, she says something, whatever it is, and then she goes by and say, "Oh, I maybe did it the wrong way. I maybe say a different word." The way I see it, she cares about that. For me, when it gets too
Right.
conflictive, and you go and
It's
then
obsessive.
when it gets too obsessive,
Yes.
that's when I see.
Where's that line, though? You think you send the text and you're like,
Shit.
and it's good. But it's still a good text.
Yes, it's still a good text, but you're like, it can be better.
But
But
you
that-
say that.
Yeah, but that's
so
it- that's an
where is
invisible.
that line? That's the interesting
That has
thing.
to be an invisible line, of course, and that line is going to be to the point where that doesn't affect your daily routine.
yeah, you
you
have
can
to-
sleep well. You have a happy life. You don't spend too much time looking for perfection. It has to be something quick. It has to be something that comes inside of yourself. You know, as a part
There's
of yourself.
nothing wrong for striving for excellence.
Yeah, that's what I
End
mean.
of story, right? There's nothing wrong for it. It's what comes after excellence, and it's this
Yeah.
perfectionism. And I'm probably on the borderline. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on that. You know, I know nothing could ever be perfect. I know that. That's just realistic. So I think for me, then I probably am on that borderline of striving for excellence in whatever I do. And there's nothing wrong with that until it becomes obsessive. Yes.
I'd like to add another
Yeah.
dimension to
Go
it,
ahead.
which is which is we're talking about this finish line, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the theme of the conversation. But I think that it's a very slippery slope. And I think that, and one of the tactics that I researched and found for how to deal with it and how to
Right.
overcome your own perfectionist instinct is that all the way up until this line, you're saying, I'm striving for excellence. But in fact, when you start striving for excellence and you go back, let's just use an example. You're creating a report, okay, for work. You go back and you read and double check that report
Yeah.
once. Then you go back and do it a second time. Then you do it a third, fourth,
Yeah.
fifth, sixth time.
Is that OCD?
You're burning up. Well,
Is
it's
it?
something that I had to learn. And I'll share my story about how I figured out kind of what I had to do with the OCD dimension of my personality. But when you double check and triple check and quadruple and quintuple check, what you've done is now your report is late. It's never that good because the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth times that you checked it, it was exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's no place where all of a sudden it's the perfect report.
Right.
It's never going to be because everybody reading the report is reading it through their own lens. And they could read it and go, it's missing this data. Well, then what? You've decided this was perfect. I checked it 9 times. And that's a very extreme example, but
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I realized that I was prone to OCD when I was probably in my late teens. And I started doing something weird, which I never had done it before, but I started checking if my door was locked. And I'd go back and I'd check it, and then I'd walk down the hallway and go, wait, was it locked? And then I'd go back and check it again. Then I'd go back, I'd come back and check it again. And I had to do this thing, and I realized after about a week of this, I was like, wait, whoa. This is like the kind of stuff you see in the movies, going back and checking the door 3, 4, 5 times. Like truly full-blown OCD is, counting everything and getting involved in these loops that you can't get out of. That's not what I have.
Right.
But what I realized was that's a slippery slope. If I'm counting the number of times I check my door handle of my dorm room door in college, well, what else am I going to start checking? So at that point in time, I hadn't started therapy with anybody yet. I just made a note. I can only check my door twice. That's it. That's all I'm going to do.
Right.
And then I started going. I started finding myself on these little loops, these little sort of like jogs where I'd get like caught in a thought pattern, and then I'd go back over it. Then I'd go back over it. Then I'd go back over it. So you can strive for excellence because I was always a super achiever as a kid. But then where does that stop? And if you say, like I used to say, well, I want to be excellent. I want to be first. I want to be whatever it is. And you're not. Then the damage that you feel, the pain of that failure takes on a whole different life. That's why I think perfectionism is so poisonous. That finish line, always moving, is a terrible life because what does that mean? That means you're on a treadmill.
Sure.
You're not actually running anywhere, and you'll never get there. So I guess that was what I was saying was that contentedness in my story, even to this day, this is funny, when I lock my door and I'm with my sweetheart, I always look at him and he goes, "You locked it." It's still a thing that I do, but I've learned. And then when years ago when we started dating, I would go, oh, and then I'd go back and check the door anyway. Now I'm learning to go, okay,
Yeah.
I believe you. I'm content. The door is locked. My
Yeah.
home is secure. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do that sometimes with my curling iron.
So I think that sounds very healthy and normal, not like what I had.
Oh my gosh, you know how many times I'm like, did I unplug the curling iron? My flat iron, is it unplugged? Oh my gosh, I gotta go back. Go back in the house. Let me check it again. Look again.
That's
I don't want to burn the house down.
That's more about burning the house
Yes,
down than it
it
is
is.
perfectionism. But
Yes.
so where is it? What is it? Where does it come from?
Yeah.
And we've talked about, it being also something we haven't touched on, but I want to ask your opinion of this. Some people say it's a control feature. It's a way when you feel out of control that you can establish control in your life. What do you think?
I think it could be part of control too. I do. I think it all it's like a circle. I think I think it could be control because if you
Okay.
think about it, so let's just say, because it's kind of like, you think like, okay, well, if I would have done it this way, then it would have been done, it would be a certain way. That has to go back to controlling the situation. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it has to. I mean, it all has to stem back to, I'm trying to spit it out. It's
I
not
don't
coming
know.
out. But because I'm thinking, like, if I do something, if I said something and I didn't say it right, if I would have said it a different way, maybe I could have controlled the situation a little bit better or, kind of maneuvered the situation better. I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like it could be a little bit of control, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a reaction to feeling not in control of a situation.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
particularly in the case that you're saying, I go back and I'm like, I could have said that better.
Yeah.
You're trying to control how what you said landed with somebody.
Yeah, and you're right. And I'm thinking, okay, this way they respond differently or they see it differently.
Correct.
So I'm trying to control that narrative there.
You're trying to control for an
Yeah.
outcome of peace, acceptance,
Exactly.
whatever it is. But
That's what I meant to say.
but let me just say, you can't control how someone responds.
But I totally know that.
Yeah.
I completely 1,000% know that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's just something that I work on.
Yes.
It's like, I know that.
How do you work on it?
I'm aware of what happens. And then I don't, I'm like, hey, no, you're not doing that. Stop being
Okay.
ridiculous. I tell myself, like, I'll talk to myself. I'll be like,
you will.
I'll curse at myself.
What do you say?
No, I'll be like, I'll throw the F-bomb here and there.
Ooh.
I'll be like, effing quit. Like, stop being ridiculous. Snap out of it.
Snap out of it.
But it's not something that's controlling my life. I'm not to that point. I'm just saying it could be in things I'm aware. I catch them and I think, okay, no, not doing that. Everything is fine. You don't need to spruce that up or do it this way. That looks good. That's enough,
That's enough.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the words. So far we've identified that contentedness is a word that we should be striving for. Contentedness.
Yeah.
But equal to contentedness is, you know what? That's really enough. Or how about this one? I am enough.
Right.
I didn't do that perfectly, but I'm still enough.
Right.
I am whole in and of myself. I don't need to perform to be enough. I am enough as who I am. I don't have to perform. I don't have to please. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be perfect. And that's why perfectionism it's an enemy.
No, I know
You know?
it is an enemy.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's not like you said, you will be striving for something that you will never get to the end. It'll never be finished. You will
Yeah.
just keep doing it. You're running a race and sooner or later you're going to get tired,
Yeah.
and you're going to run out of gas.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
Then you're really hard on yourself.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
but, and I think too, even because as we're talking about it, there's other things too. Like we talked about social media before and how people put things out there.
Oh my gosh.
And everything has to look perfect, their lives. And people want people to think that they're living this amazing life and they're not living an amazing
Yes.
life. It's all not true. And I think it's a big struggle in our world today.
It is.
Especially with social media.
Well, and think
Perfection.
about it. People are constantly curating to show perfection.
Yeah.
But it's
I
not real.
refuse. You know me. I'm like, so I'm not that bad.
Yeah, no.
I show
Nobody
perfection.
thinks you're
I
bad.
show perfection on my social media. I'm guilty.
You don't, Carla.
And you're like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I actually know you.
No, I was going to say, because sometimes you're like, that's so such bullshit. Like, it's just right. It's like,
Well, when you're looking at someone's feed?
yeah, let's just say you know someone. I don't get on it very much, but I'm just saying in general, like, you're like, no, their life isn't really that, And it's like, why do they put that out there to make it look, so perfect?
Yeah.
Why is it so important for people to think they live a perfect life or have the perfect life or have the perfect husband, have the perfect kids, have the perfect house, have the I mean, why is it so important in society?
Because it sells.
What does it sell? What are they selling?
Sells more views on social media, and the algorithm
okay.
likes that.
I
The
gotcha.
algorithm.
I think it has to do more personally with them.
I agree.
I think it has to do with that person just wanting to put out there that they're living this life. I mean, I don't do social media. I don't do it because I'm just like I used to years ago. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but
No, we
but you know what I mean. We're just talking about
It's like Carlos says, everything in moderation.
yeah.
Like I posted a picture of my adorable dog Thatcher, like sleeping with a toy in his
Okay.
bed. That was a perfect moment.
Okay.
But I wasn't curating for perfection. I
Right.
think though that you're 100% correct. And the hard part is there's this giant gap between people who post a picture of their perfect happy family and them later that day laying in bed like in agony
Right.
over their spouse's
Right.
poor treatment of who they were or their child struggling. Like they're feeling this deep pain because they're still human and they feel pain, but they've created this giant gap.
It's a facade.
Between look at us, we're
Yeah.
perfect,
Yeah.
and their child, biting somebody that day, and their child's like 15. I'm like,
Right,
you know what
I
I mean?
know.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I think it's a very devastating thing to sit there and go, I'm also perpetuating a fraud. Because in your heart of hearts, you know that you are.
But you wonder why is it so important?
This is a thing that you have.
I
This
do.
is-
I struggle with it because it's like
You
why?
really hunger to know why.
Yeah, like why? What is it? Why do you need 1,000, 10,000 likes? Why?
Well, why is there any portion of you when you look at your perfect kitchen that says it could actually be better if I fix this thing?
but
It's kind of the same thing.
Well,
It's that person, but the difference is that's a private
yes, that's
question.
exactly what I was going to say.
It's not a public one.
That's exactly what I was going to respond.
But that's where it starts.
Yes.
Because what if you had chosen to create a monetized stream of attention, because that's what social media is for some people.
right.
Every hit, they get money. Every time someone clicks on a link to whatever whatever that thing is that they're using in their little clip, every time somebody hits that's monetized, that company pays them. So all of a sudden they've made themselves totally public and they're looking at their kitchen. That's the difference. It's a second dimension to perfectionism.
It's the next step.
Yes, and in my research, I
next
did
step.
read there's there's some major categories of perfectionism. One of them is self-perfectionism. That's what we're talking
Yes,
about.
okay.
But the other is perfectionism oriented to others.
Yes.
That's the social media part,
Yeah,
which
that
I
makes
think
sense.
is way more torturous
Yes.
than
I would think
self-perfectionism.
so.
But in fact, if we're not satisfied with who we are, isn't that just as much painful as that person laying in bed at night knowing that they're defrauding the world?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would even use, well, I guess satisfied would probably be, you're probably right, like in satisfying, like, because if you're not content in what you're doing
Yeah.
or what you have or whatever, and you're not satisfied with it.
Yes.
It's the same. But I don't know. I'm not saying, I guess it could be the same, but I guess it's more personal and private, like you said.
Exactly.
But all that being said, yeah, I just always struggled with that. I just wondered, like, how come to some people it's really, really important to have that,
So
validation or whatever.
that is validation. That's
I
the
don't
perfect
know.
word.
So, and it, I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I've always wondered about that, and to me, I just find it's striving for perfection because also because you're trying to satisfy something in you. I don't know. I can get really deep about it, but
No, but that's good. What did you have more to that? thought?
no. I mean, everybody needs something. I'm not saying so. If that person needs it, they need it. If I need something, I need it. You need something. We all need to get something differently. It's not the same. Like, so if you need that validation differently, you'll get it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like if they need it that way, then they'll get it that way. So I really can't damn anybody for doing it. You know what I mean?
I don't see that you're damning anybody. I think you're genuinely curious.
Yeah.
Because you look at people. I mean, how many times have you and I been on vacation? We walk down a lobby of some beautiful place, and there's a girl and her boyfriend, kind of like taking pictures, and you know that it's for social media.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually think there's I follow certain people who I think one of our besties, her daughter is so beautiful and so whole and so real and so wonderful.
Yes.
I love watching it because she's not
course.
perfect.
Right.
That's what I love about her.
And she
She's
puts
funny.
it out there too.
And she puts it out there. It makes her amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess in that particular instance, you would go, "Oh, how wonderful that she's not." She is who she is. She
Right.
really is an incredible person. And
I
then
think
on
that's
the other hand,
amazing.
that's amazing.
I think that's amazing.
Yes,
Because she's
I
real.
love
She's
her
being
feat.
real. She's
Yeah.
being real. She's being
Yeah.
herself. And then when she has an imperfection, she'll put it out there.
Yeah, she
she'll
does.
show the world.
And she's funny.
Yeah,
she's
and
very
I love
funny.
that.
Stunningly beautiful, very funny.
I am not talking about anybody like that.
No, I think what we're talking about are
Yeah.
the people who are like on this beautiful vacation and they're never experiencing the vacation
Right.
because they're trying to look perfect in their pictures.
Yeah, or they're on this vacation and their life is miserable back home.
I know.
But they're on vacation because it's a normal vacation. So
But-
that's kind of what I'm
And
saying.
looping it back around to
Yeah.
perfectionism,
Yeah.
right? It's like, my life is perfect when they know that it's not.
And they filter it all.
And they filter. They filter everything. What were you going to say, Carlos?
When you say that, I remember one weekend, we were going on vacation, and it was at the beach, a resort or something. And there was this lady that she never went into the ocean. She never went into the pool because she did the hair Thursday that week, and she wanted the hair to look amazing the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Why did you came to the ocean or to the pool,
Resort,
to the
yeah.
resort? You won't enjoy with your
Right.
whole family, which is in the water, because you don't want to.
Right,
your
she's
hair.
trying to be
You just did
perfect.
your
She's trying
hair.
to, But I can
I mean,
understand
I
that.
mean,
As a
I mean,
woman, just
huh?
put it up in a bun and get in the water.
I mean, but that's related, right? Is that related, Priya, or not?
It is related because I think she wants to be perfect. She wants to look perfect. I think perfectionism, it manifests itself in different people in different ways. And I think that the number one thing, the most
Exactly.
important thing is, hey, wait a minute, this is me trying to be perfect. How do I stop that?
Yeah.
How do I get to a different place? Like, how do I, because one of my notes here says, like, what are the costs? What are the costs of perfectionism? What do you think some of the costs are? Like, what does it
Peace.
cost you? Peace is the
Are
number
you
one.
kidding? Like peace. It takes peace and joy and everything out because it'll make you destructive and disruptive. It's
true.
Peace. I would say for me, it would.
Yeah.
That would be the.
But what about you, Carlos? What is a cost of perfectionism?
I have two small stories. At the very beginning, when I was probably 26 or something like that, I was being very obsessive with everything I was doing. If I get obsessed with something, that can take me months. Not talking to anyone, not doing anything on the weekends, just trying to reach perfection on that. And then suddenly I began to grow up and I began to see that time is very important.
Yeah.
And the time that I was spending on those things, I won't recover. It's time that was lost. So that made me think I can't keep doing this.
lost time.
I love
Yeah.
that. So for you, a cost is peace. For you, a cost is lost
Time.
Lost time.
And time is never getting regenerated. It's never making it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never get it again.
Yes.
You have one moment in life. And I love that. That's a major takeaway, that one of the biggest costs is peace, because
Yeah.
that's within you.
Right.
But then time, which
right.
is outside of you, you'll never get it back. That's really beautiful.
And the price that you can pay, the second story, the price that you can pay sometimes can be very high. I don't know if I told you about that customer that I had before. I got into his house. Long story short, I saw the frame on the wall of the wife, beautiful woman. The guy was living there by himself. And then suddenly he began to talk to me about what's going on. And then he told me that her wife took his life out. You know, she killed
I
herself.
think you told me this story. Yeah.
She was beautiful enough, beautiful, but she was looking something. She was trying to find some kind of perfection that she couldn't reach.
Yeah.
And eventually, she
That's
tried.
worst case
They tried to get her into a specialist, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she never got better. And eventually, she took her life.
Yeah, it's sad.
So sad.
And he was living in that big house by himself with not 2 kids, 2 big boys. That's sad, you know. That's
it's so
the
sad.
price. We're talking about the price that you can pay. One can be time,
Yes.
and also can be your own life.
Yeah, that is the
When
ultimate.
you get too obsessed,
Right.
you lose reality.
Especially if you look in the world and she feels incompetent, like she feels unworthy, like
Unworthy.
and doesn't feel good about herself.
So
Sad.
for people out there, whoever is listening to this, I think the most important is to know where are the limits.
Yeah.
When it's becoming unhealthy. And
When it becomes unhealthy.
And then when you have to do something, look for a specialist to help you. Because that's the point. A lot of people strive for perfection or to do things better.
Yes.
But there has to be a limit. But there's no way to mark the limit. You have to do it by yourself, knowing that's
Right,
affecting.
you have to figure it out.
It's
You have
affecting
to.
your life somehow, you know?
Yeah. Very good, Carlos.
That's very good. Thank you for that. And I'm gonna share this, and then I think we'll move into our final section of the podcast about how, like, ways in which tactics by which you can overcome perfectionism. But before we go there, we're talking about the cost, and you were talking about peace and joy, and you were talking about time and life in that one woman's life, and her husband, her widow, you know. Or widower, the widower.
Yeah.
But one of the costs is, I have written here, it's the cost. Okay. No one really, you know what perfectionism is. You're not really sure where it came from, but the cost is extremely high. And one of the costs is medically, that it will cause an anxiety that cannot be assuaged because you can never be perfect. You will always live with that anxiety. And there's a lot of reasons for it. And it talks about, I researched how the brain and portions of the brain respond to the strain that perfectionism causes. And it results in, like, people who are very anxious, who have deep fears of failure, of rejection, all these other things. And there's several parts of the brain that get lit up, and they're exhausted by a perfectionist's ruminations, by the loop they keep running. One of them, it says, this particular topic says perfectionism and the brain's alarm system. And ChatGPT did this research for me. And it said the amygdala, which is a very small portion of your brain, but it's one of the most important parts. Your brain has a stem and then the brain that comes off it. And it's right at the root of that brain stem. And it's called the amygdala, and it's the brain's fear and threat detector. It's one of the oldest parts of the brain.
Is it fight or flight?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Hey, that's pretty amazing. Most people don't know that. Perfectionism can be understood as the brain's attempt to avoid danger. And in a perfectionist, mistakes are viewed as threats. But think about this. The amygdala started developing within our brain way back in the caveman days. So you would feel that that threat center would start going, there's a threat here because a lot like a saber-toothed tiger is stalking you, is going to kill you. That same level of fear and alarm rises in a perfectionist amygdala when they're like, I have to make this report perfect. I have to be seen as perfect. I have to have the perfect product. I have to have the perfect home. So the amygdala goes into like overdrive. And then there's something called the prefrontal cortex. That's if you look at the brain and you know what the shape of a brain is, it's the very front of the brain. It's the part that kind of comes towards your forehead. And it's called the prefrontal cortex. And it's responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-monitoring. And it will go into overdrive with perfectionists. It's great at detail orientation, but when paired with anxiety signals that the amygdala sends to it, there's messages bouncing around your brain all the time. It creates overthinking loops. The overthinking loops are the ruminations. They're where you just keep thinking about that text and I think it landed wrong. I think it landed wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then the brain's reward system, the dopamine system, rewards achievement. So if someone grows up getting praise or love only when they succeed, that brain is wired now for perfectionism. I'm not going to be accepted unless I'm successful.
Right.
And that's something that a lot of people struggle with. But the bottom line is, with all of these things, eventually there's an exhaustion that's created in your brain and therefore in your body. And that will actually shorten your life. That exhaustion,
Sure, because
that anxiety.
It's stress. It's stress and
Correct.
anxiety.
It's and think about this. It's a needless stress.
Right.
Because there's nothing on the line other than your sense of I've arrived at perfection, and that will never happen. It's like running a race. Imagine standing on the line of a race, but it's not a 200 or 400 meter race. It's a question mark infinity meter race. You'll never stop sprinting. And what happens? You get exhausted.
Yeah.
So the cost is to your, not just to your soul, but also to your body.
Yeah. Well, I always use the hamster as a hamster wheel.
Share that. Like,
Well, I always say, like, if it's like you're on a hamster wheel. Like,
Yes.
you're going nowhere. You're just going to keep, that hamster wheel is just going to keep on going and going and going and going
Yes.
and going and going. So
Yes.
sooner or later, you got to jump off that hamster wheel.
exactly.
Otherwise, like you said, it'll take toll on your body.
It will.
Your mind.
It also reveals itself in some, this is one of the most interesting dimensions of perfectionism. It will reveal itself in two different ways. One is people become procrastinators
Yes.
and don't do something. Because they're afraid of it failing
Yes.
or not being perfect enough.
Yeah.
Your procrastination, a lot of people think a procrastinator's lazy. Wrong.
Yeah. I'm not a procrastinator, though.
Well,
You're not.
I'm not either. So that's
Are
not
you,
how my
Carlos?
perfectionism.
You're not a procrastinator.
But I know people who are.
Sometimes.
Are you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh.
Sometimes
like
several
to get things
stages of
done.
my life, depending on my mood,
Okay.
depending on how I feel,
Yeah.
I tend to procrastinate a little bit.
Oh.
But I'm good fighting that. I'm good fixing those
Yeah.
behaviors on
But
time.
think about this. Some people say, I don't want to even start that because it's not going to be perfect enough.
Yeah.
And then they never get it done and they never get a chance. So that's like
Yeah.
one of those sort of like hidden ways that it comes out like that. And then that procrastination was one of the ways. And I'm trying to remember what the other one is. It'll come back to me. But those are the costs. And in those costs, they actually start extrapolating themselves forward in your life. So someone could look at you. You could be an incredible person, but because you're procrastinating out of the fear of failure, the fear of not being perfect, you'll be judged totally differently.
Of course.
No one, most people don't look at procrastinators and go, oh, they're a perfectionist, and that's really anxiety producing.
You would never think that. You're just
What
be
would
like,
you think?
Like, well, they procrastinate. They're being lazy, or they're just not wanting to
Right.
do it, or you're.
But think about this. If you are a procrastinator out there, think long and hard about why you're putting
Right.
things off. If you can piece together,
Or they're scared.
I'm putting this off because I feel anxiety.
Right.
I'm putting it off because I really want it to be right.
Right.
Wouldn't that be amazing for the person watching going, oh, okay, now I know why.
Yeah.
Because when you know why, then you can fix it.
Or you could just be scared and you just don't want to do it.
I choose to believe it's because they're procrastinating from a sense, a fear of failure.
Yeah.
So let's wind this up today with some thoughts, some ideas, some life hacks on how to overcome perfectionism. Do you have any, Nanny?
I think it basically is you have to figure out how to be aware if you're getting to that point of trying to be perfect.
Or if you've always been that person.
I mean, trying to do things excellent, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just trying to figure out if you are trying to get further than excellent.
Yes.
And nothing is ever going to be perfect in your life, no matter what it is. It's totally impossible. You have to set realistic goals.
It's really good.
Be realistic on it. And focus on the process, not just the outcome.
I love that.
But you just have to be realistic, and you just have to be aware. You have to figure out, where that point is that line, and remember, that it's a race. It's a race that you will not win.
Yes,
you will not. And I think when you come to terms with knowing that there'll never be perfection at the end of that rainbow.
Actually, that's a wonderful way of looking at it. It's like chasing the rainbow.
Yeah, and you realize it's just never going to be that way. I think in acceptance of it,
Yeah.
But it takes a little bit of work. But
I love that. Those are some really good ones. How about you, Carlos?
I think that the ideal is, again, to be aware that just being here alive is a huge gift, and we have to pursue happiness over everything. And I'm not saying don't try to strive for to do better everything, but you have to know the limits, and you have to know when that will affect yourself, and then stop there and keep going.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? Just to have it here. And one other thing is, if you keep striving for perfectionism, you'll never allow yourself to feel complete.
What does that mean?
Because you're never enough. It's never, you'll never be complete and whole because you're always striving for more.
I love that.
Yeah,
I just wanted
to say that.
No, thank you for going back and sharing that, because I think we're designed to feel complete. God made us completely. He made us whole. Yeah. The Word of God says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah. And if God says we're wonderful, that means we're truly wonderful. What happens between Him saying, look at this girl?
Right.
When He looked at me as a little girl, look at her. She's fearfully and wonderfully made. And fearfully means like awe. Like there's an awe when you look at this creation that God made of who I am. When you become a perfectionist, you go, I've got, there's errors here. God, you made mistakes with me.
God doesn't make mistakes.
He doesn't. He truly doesn't. And if you can look at yourself and go, you know what, I'm really enough. I know I'm not where I want to be, but I'm enough right where I am. I think that is huge. I have 4 different things that I kind of settled into that are like some catchphrases that if you write it down or you say to yourself, oh gosh, that really resonates with me. The first is what you already said, which is, instead of perfection, looking at progress. And this was the catchphrase. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Achievement, completion is better than perfection. Because what happens? Someone goes, well, it's not perfect yet. It means it's never done. Done is better than perfect. That's the phrase. The second one is, you've talked about this before. It's one of my favorite things you've ever said, which was about being kind to yourself, self-compassion, which is sometimes I actually will say this. I'll say, gosh, I know I'm not Jesus. I'm not going to do that right every time. Or I'll say, well, good thing I'm not Jesus because I would have failed this world. You know, he was perfect. I'm not. I actually have to say it out loud for my brain to hear it. So self-compassion. One of the things that was interesting that was used as a way to combat and overcome perfection is mindfulness, which I love mindfulness. If you're really in the moment, right where you are, and you're doing something, and you're really in that moment, you're not thinking about what it's going to look like at the end. You're really enjoying it for what you're doing at that moment. And then perfectionism isn't necessary. Perfect isn't necessary because you're gaining so much joy and peace from arranging those flowers or doing something. My sister is like a master flower arranger. And I'll look at her and I'll go, this is so perfect. And she'll go, it's actually not, but I like that it's not. She doesn't contend with perfectionism with her flower arranging because she's like, it's organic. It's imperfect in and of itself. It's perfectly imperfect. That's what she says. And then finally, there's an 80-20 rule. Do you guys know what the 80-20 rule is? So in business, it's something called Pareto's principle. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, but we used it at where I worked for forever. It means that 80% of that project is the most important part. That means the 20% is the most important part. The 80% is like the stuff that you can kind of put aside. Like, in other words, people think I have to do this whole project. No, you have to do the 20% that's most important. And so you can use the 80-20 rule, and you can actually use it either way. You can say, I'm 80% done. I'm done with this project. Or you can say, I'm 20% done and I did the most important parts. I'm done with the project. Either way, you leave something undone. So, for example, when I walk past, I learned this when I was younger. I walk past dish towels, I will deliberately leave one of them crooked. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'll inject that into my day. That, gosh, kind of bugs me that it's like that, but it's okay because it's not the end of the world. And so leaving something undone is the fourth, and I think one of the best ways to overcome perfectionism. And if you do these things enough, over enough period of time, you will
You're creating
overcome.
a habit. Yeah.
Yes, you're resetting your brain, and your brain has enough plasticity that it'll adjust. And what used to feel like it was so far from perfection will feel like, oh, it's enough. That's my desire.
And it's exhausting too. If you think about it, it'll wear you out if you try to live to be perfect.
I know.
It's exhausting.
Yeah,
That's how I live.
Yeah. You live
Being
in an
perfect.
exhausted? You live
That's
in an
why you're always
exhausted?
tired.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to live a perfect life.
So what would you say, Carlos, your takeaway from today's conversation is?
Yeah, I say what I said before. I say try to be happy, enjoy the process. I know where it's enough. Try to do things better, but getting to know the limits. That's what I might say, because I like to do things right. I like things to be organized the way it's supposed to be. But knowing the limits is also very important.
Good. Nan, your takeaway?
I would say the same thing. Like I said a few minutes ago, it's finding that boundary, finding that, you're chasing that rainbow, that there's no end, it's you just have to find that happy medium for you, and not strive for perfection, but you can strive, like I said, for excellence. It's okay. And
That's a good takeaway.
Because if you don't, it will exhaust you, because there's no end.
Essentially, you're saying excellence is good, perfection is unreachable.
Yeah, it's unreachable.
Go for excellence, not perfection.
Why not?
That's
Why
the
isn't
takeaway.
excellence good enough,
My takeaway, and what I want to leave everybody with before I do my usual, where you can find us, mine is, wherever you are, you're enough right now. You don't have to do and prove and strive and try and try and try and try and try. There is no such thing as perfection. And if you can start looking at yourself as, I'm enough, I'm complete, in and of myself right now, I'm complete. And so everything after this is just gravy. Striving for excellence, that makes me feel good. It doesn't deplete me. Striving for perfection destroys me and disrupts me. So the takeaway that I would say is wherever you are right now, whatever you're striving for, even where you are right now, even if it's short of excellence, it's still enough. There's nothing less about you. And be thankful and satisfied with where you are at this very moment. And then strive for excellence, but not perfection. I think that's my big, like that's my final word on that. So before we close, and Nan does our favorite thing that we like to talk about, like our favorite closing line, I want to remind you all that we are, that the website that you can find our other podcasts, all our other episodes, is gratitudeandattitude.life. And we're on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, our podcast is. And of course, our YouTube channel, which is at Gratitude and Attitude Podcast. If you like, or anything that you've watched is something that you've liked and value, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel so that we would know that we are actually bringing value to your life. That's our goal. We desire so much that you, whoever you are out there, is learning from our mistakes, from the process that we've gone through, and we're sharing with you because we're self-avowed perfectionists. We're trying to be in recovery from perfectionism.
Yeah.
But we do want you to learn. And so please subscribe to us, like us.
Yeah.
We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And we have some really good content coming up. And we're just so thankful that you watch us.
Yeah.
We love you and we appreciate you. And we're rooting for you and cheering for you. And with that said, do you want to close us?
Remember to take things lightly while doing life deeply.
Yes.
That's it.
I love it. That's the way to do life.
That's true.
So anyway, we're just closing now.
right.
Yeah, thank you
We'll
so much
see you
for
next
watching.
time.
Yes, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.